Hi everyone, I'm Amy Johnson-Crow. Joining me today is Denise Levenick, who is the family curator. She's also the author of How to Archive Family Photos. Denise, thanks for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
Hi Amy, nice to see you again.
So, we have these wonderful treasures in our families. Well, at least I hope that everybody has some of these in their families because they're wonderful when you have the family photos, right? This was actually not a family member, but it was, well, it's labeled on the back, my little friend Violet, first grade. This was one of my grandma's first grade friends. I mean, just how adorable, right? And then this picture of my grandma, my dad, and his sister and two brothers. I haven't had this picture very long. But what do we do when we're confronted with the stack of photos? And some of them are loose and some of them are in, the little cardboard sleeves.
Okay.
Like they came from the photography studio. Where do we even start to preserve these family photos?
Well, first, it's nice you've got a collection, isn't it?
I'm very thankful.
Yeah. And it looks like you don't have them in a regular file folder or an envelope. I don't know what you're storing them in.
Right now, they're just in a special box.
Okay.
I mean,
box.
And by special, I mean that it's a regular box, but it has a nice pattern on the outside, so it's not like just a shoe box. It's something that people look at this box and it's like, okay, this is something that needs to be saved.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. So we have a lot of different kinds of layers of storage to deal with. And you have, your photos look like you've got some studio photos. Do you have some snapshots in there?
Not in this particular stack, but oh yes, we have snapshots.
Okay. Well, let's talk mostly about those older photos then, because when you get into 20th century color photography, that's a little bit different because you're dealing with modern dyes that are fading and everything. Mm-hmm. These old pictures, a lot of them are printed on what's essentially very good stock paper. But it's a layered image, and you want to take care so that the paper itself remains stable and doesn't start to curl from drying out, or the emulsion doesn't become exposed to the elements, because then the emulsion can become, the layer where the picture is can crack or fade. It'll have issues. Mm-hmm. So you've got these old pictures. Now, if you want to pass them around and show them off to people, it's good. You might want to put them in plastic enclosures. There is something called archival plastic.
Ooh, that almost sounds like an oxymoron.
Yeah, almost. And the sleeves come in all different thicknesses and sizes. You'll want something close to the size of the picture so that it doesn't flop around. Like this little card, it flops and it gets scratched. That's not a good idea. It's better if you can get an enclosure that's snug.
Good idea.
Now, when you look for plastic enclosures for your photos, and a lot of us want to put them in individual enclosures so we can pass them around and share them. Look for plastic that has passed the photographic activity test, PAT.
The photographic activity test.
Right.
And how do we know if the plastic has passed the photographic activity test?
Well, if you buy your photo sleeves from a reputable archival supplier, that's not going to be a problem. It'll say right there on the catalog, in the catalog or online, PAT, pass the PAT. You can also just know what is stable plastic. And these are plastics that have been tested so they don't interact with the photo. When you put the photograph in the plastic, they're tested to see if gases build up. Well, they're going to, but does the plastic interact with the paper or the photo and cause it to deteriorate faster? Mm-hmm. You don't want to accelerate that deterioration because that's going to happen anyway.
Right, right.
The best plastics to use are Mylar, which the name now is Levenick, and you can find it at office supply stores or art supply stores. Levenick.
Levenick.
Mm-hmm. Or polyester, pure polyester, or polyethylene. Those are the plastics to look for.
Excellent.
So, if you don't want to use plastic and you just want something to store them in, then you could use an archival acid-free file folder. But whatever touches your picture, you want to be an archival product. Either a PAT-approved plastic or an acid-free, lignin-free folder. Or, if you don't have anything and you don't have any money because you're a starving college student and you have these pictures, go to the bookstore and buy some rag paper, 100% rag paper. Well, like they put resumes on.
Right.
And take a piece of paper and fold it in half like that and put your picture inside it and store it that way. It's better than nothing, isn't it?
Excellent suggestion. Just 100% rag paper like you would print your resume on.
Right.
Perfect. Just another excuse to go to the office supply store. Like we genealogists need another excuse to go to the office supply store.
Yeah.
So, in terms of when you have a stack of photos like I have here, and my grandma, and I've sung my grandma's praises often when it comes to photographs of how she labeled the backs of almost all of her pictures. What do you do, though, when you have a picture like this one, and I can see on the back that at one time this was actually in an album because I can see where the glue had been and it pulled up the paper from the album, but it isn't labeled. How can I label this picture safely?
Okay, that's not hard at all. Use a soft pencil, like a number 2 pencil, and when you hold it so lightly in your hand that you feel like it's going to fall out. And then put the photograph on something soft, like a stack of paper, because you don't want anything hard, because you don't want to emboss the picture, right? So write very lightly on the back what you know, who the person is, the age, maybe the year, the location, who took the picture, whatever you know. Mm-hmm. Or put it in a paper folder and write on the folder.
Or do both.
Or do both, because they might get separated.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you use a plastic sleeve, write on the back with a pen that can write on plastic. They make those scrapbook pens.
And write on the plastic,
yeah.
not on the photo.
Not on the picture.
Yeah.
I've also made labels with my computer. If I have a nice long thing I want to say, mm-hmm. I will type it up and put it on a label and stick it to the plastic on the outside. Or I put it on a piece of acid-free paper and put it with the picture.
Excellent suggestion. What about when we have a case like, let's say I have a picture like this, and it's a beautiful picture, it means a lot, I want everyone in the family to see it. What's the best way to display this picture? And I bet I know what you're going to say.
Yeah, I'm going to say, don't display it. I did the same thing with this photo right here. This is a picture of my grandmother, and it was actually smaller. I digitized it, I scanned it at a high quality, printed it out again, and I just put it in a frame with crummy cardboard backing because it's a print. It's just a computer printout. And the original I have in an archival box, in an archival enclosure. Yeah.
Yeah, great suggestion, because I know just the things that I have on my shelf. I have a shelf here in my office where the sun hits it in the morning, and I'm thankful that the books on that shelf aren't particularly valuable because
Yeah.
I've noticed that the spines of those books have started to fade over the years, and the same thing would happen with a photograph if you're going to have it any place that is going to be in any sort of sunlight.
Right. If you absolutely really want to display the original, make sure you frame it in under UV glass.
Under UV
With
glass.
matting, and use proper like museum quality framing.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, it's something that you don't want to skimp on. It's going to be a little pricey, but you don't want to skimp on the quality of how you're framing that original. That's a great point. One other question that I had: what do you do when you have something, and this is maybe a little bit off topic, but when you have a picture like this that is in one of the little holders that come from the photography studio, do you leave the picture in or do you take the picture out?
Well, that is going to be up to you. And it depends. You know, if the folder or the picture if one of them is falling apart, sometimes they get torn or they get damaged, then I would definitely take them apart. Mm-hmm. If the folder has some kind of information that you think makes the photograph more interesting, to keep it in the folder. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they do. The folders are really pretty themselves. Have you noticed that?
Yes.
Embossed ones and stuff?
Yes.
So what I've done is take a piece of acid-free paper and I put it in as a buffer, kind of.
So to put the paper in here.
Yeah. I've done that. Or I might take the picture and put it in a Mylar sleeve, a PAT-approved sleeve, and then slip it back in the folder.
Oh, okay.
You can do that. If you don't care and you don't really want the folder, I'd probably scan it so I have a record of it, mm-hmm. Scan the photograph, front and back always, and then just store the photograph however you're doing it, in paper or plastic.
Right. Right. Yeah, and that's one thing. I'm glad that you mentioned scanning or at least photocopying the folder, because some of them do have some information. Like this one, it isn't very elaborate, but it does have on the very front, it does have the name and the location of the photographer.
Right.
So, that could really help you.
Yeah, you'd want to keep that. So.
Excellent. Well, Denise, thank you for all of the tips that you have shared with us today. I think we're all going to be going out and either ordering online some of those photo sleeves or making a trip to the office supply store. And what kind of plastic are we looking for again?
You're looking for PAT-approved plastic.
PAT-approved plastic. That's awesome. Okay, everyone, please go check out Denise's blog at, always have to stop and think, it's thefamilycurator.com.
Right. Familycurator.com.
Excellent. And be sure to check out Denise's book, How to Archive Family Photos, published by Family Tree Magazine.
Yes.
Thanks, Denise, for joining us.
Thanks very much. Talk to you again.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.